Don's poetry and prose is far more, his poetic line and his prose line are far closer together, at sometimes more indistinguishable. There's a big difference in it. Again, my poetry or my poesy and prose comes from usually a lot more different technique than in my poems.
Well, yes, I wouldn't say it's to the same extent, and I have not read both of them, so I can't compare. I'm only going on secondhand information for what you've said, but there does seem to be some stylistic similarities, only in the sense that you'll have a poem that begins on one idea, and yes, poetry is framing a moment that will lapse into many different asides. Your prose has the same kind of ability. Jessica will, like all great writers, will deal with many different things in many different ways at any one time. But yours is, she is more consciously poetic. Your poetry is, in your prose, is more identified after the fact.
Yeah, that's I've often said a very similar thing. I think it's one of the things is I just sort of stride bigger. One of the things Jessica complains about me on a personal level is that I will often get distracted, or she'll say, "Why are you bothering with that person, that writer, or something someone sent to me, or why are you wasting time watching a soap opera or watching an old sci-fi movie or what?" And I say, because this is fodder. So you will I the canvas from which I draw things into prose or poetry or my essays even, I take a far greater range of things than Jessica does. What Jessica does, Jessica gets cosmic by starting from the small and going outward. I bring the cosmos and bring it inward. So in a sense, we are 180 degrees. Jessica, not that she's really anything like Emily Dickinson, but Jessica makes the cosmic from the small, and so Jessica has a much smaller palette, but her greatness comes in making uh, greatness from that smaller palette. My greatness is from taking things. I mean, from I have references. If you were to look at the totality of my work, uh, I probably am 50 to 100 to maybe 200 or 300 times larger palette of things that I use. People talk about Shakespeare or James
Jessica's is
Joyce.
also stands on its own, and yours kind of goes outward with the illusions too. It's always clinging to reality and to the outside world, whereas Jessica's, she may have that fodder as well, but she makes it completely a thing unto itself.
Yeah, and I think we approach memory in a different way too. I was watching, for example, while I was home, I was doing some work. I came back, and a couple of weeks ago, I saw a thing called the Father Knows Best reunion. Father Knows Best was an American sitcom from the 1950s, and in the late 70s, they apparently did a reunion show, and it wasn't filmed in a sitcom way. It was on videotape, and I was watching it, and there was a scene where the Andersons. This was Robert Young was the big name star there, and Jane Wyatt, and it was about them coming back together, and it had a very the Waltons like feel to it. But the thing that got me was, and why I watched the whole hour and 45 minutes or so that it was on, was there was a scene where the Andersons go to their church, and it was a Lutheran church, and I knew it was a Lutheran church even before they said it, because they were playing the famous Lutheran hymn. I don't know if you ever got in Canada or ever saw. There was a thing put out by the Lutheran Church of America called Davy and Goliath. It was the same guy who did Gumby, the Gumby uh, uh, stop motion cartoons. Davy and Goliath. Davy was a young boy who had a dog who talked to him, and there was the famous hymn written by Martin Luther went something like da 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 da. And this played in the Davy and Goliath cartoon. It was also in this Father Knows Best reunion. Now, for me, the draw would be that music. It would be the da da da. where Jessica would probably focus on some smaller event. To me, I would bring something down from Martin Luther and the history of the Lutherans into that moment, whereas Jessica would take something uh, that she remembered sitting in the pew or whatnot, and bring it into that moment. That's not to say that Jessica hasn't ever done anything cosmic brought down to the small, or I haven't taken something small and expanded it outward. Certainly that's true. But I'm just talking in a general sense.